Sermon number 220 in Nahj Al-Balaghah. So a sermon delivered by Hazrath Ali. But this particular sermon, it talks about a verse from the Quran. So I'm going to read the verse first. Delivered after reciting the verse. So it's in connection with the verse from the Quran. Therein declare glory unto him in the mornings and evenings. Men whom neither merchandise nor any sale diverts from the remembrance of Allah, and constancy in prayer and paying the poor rate. They fear the day when the hearts and eyes shall writhe of the anguish. So this is interesting. So it talks about the man whom, in the Quran it talks about men who don't let worldly affairs like merchandise or selling or business divert them from the remembrance of God. And it also talks about the constancy in prayer and the paying the poor rate. And I think this often gets overlooked. The fact that, worship and prayer and zakat and all of these pillars, they're not something that you do as a one-off. It's not something that, one of those intense workouts that you do once in a year and twice in a year, and then you sort of forget about it. The word constancy is very important here. That it has to be part of your life. It has to be something that you do continuously. And then Hazrat Ali starts with his sermon. Certainly, Allah the Glorified, the Sublime, has made his remembrance the light for hearts, which hear with its help despite deafness, see with its help despite blindness, and become submissive with its help despite unruliness. In all the periods and times where there were no prophets, there have been persons with whom Allah, precious are his bounties, whispered through their wits and spoke through their minds. With the help of the bright awakening of their ears, eyes and hearts, they keep reminding others of the remembrance of the days of Allah and making others feel fear for him like guide points in wilderness. Whoever adopts the middle way, they praise his ways and give him the tidings of deliverance. But whoever goes right and left, they vilify his ways and frighten him with ruin. In this way, they served as lamps in this darkness and guides through these doubts. There's some people devoted to the remembrance of Allah who have adopted it in place of worldly matters so that commerce or trade does not turn them away from it. They pass their life in it. They speak into the ears of neglectful persons, warning against matters held unlawful by Almighty Allah. They order them to practice justice and themselves keep practicing it, and they refrain them from the unlawful and themselves refrain from it. It is as though they have finished the journey of this world towards the next world and have beheld what lies beyond it. Consequently, they have become acquainted with all that befell them in the interstice during their long stay therein, and the day of judgment fulfills its promises for them. Therefore, they remove the curtain from these things for the people of the world, till it was as though they were seeing what people did not see, and were hearing what people did not hear. If you picture them in your mind, in their admirable positions and well-known settings, when they have opened the records of their actions and are prepared to render an account of themselves in respect of the small as well as the big thing they were ordered to do, but they failed to do, or were ordered to refrain from, but they indulged therein, and they realized the weight of their burden of bad acts on their backs, and they felt too weak to bear them. Then they wept bitterly and spoke to each other, while still crying and bewailing to Allah in repentance and acknowledgement of their shortcomings. You will find them to be emblems of guidance and lamps in darkness. Angels would be surrounding them, peace would be descending upon them, the doors of the sky would be open for them, and positions of honor would be assigned to them in the place of which Allah had informed them. Therefore He has appreciated their actions and praised their positions. They call Him and breathe in the ear of forgiveness. They are ever needy of His bounty and remain humble before His greatness. The length of their grief has pained their hearts, and the length of weeping their eyes. They knock at every door of inclination towards Allah. They ask Him, whom generosity does not destitute, and from whom those who approach Him do not get disappointed. Therefore take account of yourself for your own sake, because the account of others will be taken by one other than you. So in the sermon, Hazrat Ali talks about people who are basically who have basically devoted themselves in the worship and the remembrance of God, who don't necessarily let worldly affairs make them lazy or distract them from the remembrance of God. And at the end, there's always that sort of reminder to take into account of yourself and your actions, and what are you going to be sending to the next world. Yeah, that is sermon 220 from Nahj Al-Balaghah.